Muzyczna jesień w TVP Kultura. Muzyczna jesień od 13 września w TVP Kultura.
Wszystko zaczęło się w tarnowskiej kuchni. 3 kumpli z podstawówki, którzy złapali piwowarskiego bakcyla. Decyzja o skoczeniu na większe gary była dość szybka. Po bliskich browarach zaczęliśmy ważyć nasze piwa. Początki nie były łatwe. Dopiero pan i pani uczynił nasz browar rozpoznawalnym. Mawiają, że to jedna z ikon polskiego kraftu. Ważymy głównie nowofalowe piwa z rodziny IPA, ale też klasyczne pilsy i belgi. Bardzo staramy się, by nasze portfolio pokazywało bogactwo piwnego świata. Nasze piwa są cenione, ponieważ od samego początku trzymamy się wiernie zasady ważymy co lubimy. Codziennie doskonalimy nasz warsztat, bo chcemy ważyć piwa na światowym poziomie. Ogromną radochę z tego, co robimy, daje nam partnerstwo z browarem Za Pan Brat. Michał i Przemek stworzyli świetny zespół i fantastyczną atmosferę pracy. Myślę, że nasza relacja jest bardzo unikatowa. Naszym marzeniem jest niewielki browar w Tarnowie, który będzie przedłużeniem tego, co już stworzyliśmy z Za Pan Braćmi.
3 Compli. Nice bit of smoke. Absolutely fantastic beer.
Piwo o nazwie Amok. No mój Boże, ale wszystko tu jest.
Hello, everybody. I have a great pleasure of welcoming our fantastic panelists, and I'm very happy to be conducting a panel discussion in the subject of how to build an international network in jazz industry with my international guests and colleagues, whom I would like to ask to introduce themselves shortly right now. If I can start from Helen Mechitova from Georgia. Hello, welcome, Helen.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this amazing panel with these amazing people around. I'm Helen Mechitova from Georgia, Kavkas Jazz Festival organizer, a founder, and also work as a music agent and promoter.
Thank you so
very
much.
Shortly.
Thank you very much. Ratko, Zjaca, welcome.
Hello, thank you. And greeting to everyone. Also very happy to share my experience and knowledge about the coming discussion. I'm coming originally from Croatia. I have there 2 festivals, just started 2 years ago. And I'm living in Rotterdam, in Netherlands, where I'm now. I'm also a professional musician, educator. I made 16 original albums with leader or co-leader with original music. And I'm teaching also at university and give lessons to guitar students, and I'm making a lot of clinics all around Europe.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Cyril Moshkow. Hello.
Hello. My name is, for international market, it's Cyril Moshkow, but originally it's Kirill Moshkov. I run the Russia's jazz magazine, Jazz.ru, for 22 years now, and I'm also on the board of the Russian Jazz Research Center, which is a de facto jazz museum in Russia. And I also teach jazz history at the Russian Jazz Academy, the coolest, newest jazz college in Moscow.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Oriol Sanya, welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me. So my name is Oriol Sanya. I'm from Barcelona. I'm a jazz violin player and I'm a teacher in the SMUC in Barcelona. And I'm the director of Barcelona Fiddle Congress. So my background is musician performance, pedagogy, and I love to research too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we start discussing our subject of networking, let me do a little introduction to our discussion. During the crisis, we experienced that life without culture, without music is impossible. I hope you can agree with me. And I'm pretty sure that culture online is helping us survive the pandemic. We all know that one of our guests, Helen Mechitova, based in Georgia, is facing a war tension. So it's not even a pandemic. You have a real.
We have not in Georgia, but
not in. You are in Georgia, facing in Armenia and Azerbaijan. Your neighbors are facing a war conflict and tension, which we hope will end very soon, and everybody will stay safe. But we see that from every possible reason right now, the internet has replaced our social relations and that online culture suits us. On the other hand, the cultural industry has suffered greatly in every possible aspect. And COVID-19 might change the industry forever in terms of live shows, job market, festival. It will influence, or it is influencing, life of artists, institutions, label, technicians. So before we start talking about the networking itself, I would like to ask, how is the industry dealing with the pandemic in your countries? And do you observe the industry solidarity and mutual help, which is a big part of building relationship as well? So maybe Cyril, would you like to start?
Thank you. Well, it hit big. It hit big in Russia. We had nearly 5 months of total closure of everything related to public events, which undermined the music industry greatly, especially given the fact that there is very little institutional support for anything which is not classical music. People who work for the orchestras, people who work in music education, and the music education system is still 90% government owned. They did have some support. They will still paid. However, the payment might be reduced, but it was there. But people who work independently, and there's hundreds of musicians who work independently, who spend decades working as, well, technically speaking, they are unemployed from the legal point of view. They are self-employed. And they lost most of their income, if not all of it. So that hit really big. On the other hand, there was still some activity on the jazz recording market. Jazz labels still produced some albums, and musicians still recorded them. For some of them, it was even a moment of reconnection with their roots, regaining their breath, whatever. And some of them came out of the quarantine with a lot of new ideas and new albums. Not all of them, because economy first. You have to support yourself and your family before you come up with bright, creative ideas. Still, many people manage to keep that in balance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we will be talking about that. I have it as my next question. So thank you that you started to talk about this balance between being creative and trying to survive. We will touch that in the next question. But Oriol, would you like to share the experience from your country? You have to unmute your microphone. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So at the moment, Spain is the country with the most COVID infections in Europe. So that sometimes it's difficult to, in my case, with the Congress we have in Barcelona, it's difficult to convince the artists to come because they need to stay in quarantine and later when they arrive and later when they came back in his country. So now we will live like a hybrid congress, so that the people they can stay physical and then other people they can stay online. Maybe these combinations it's working. So in this case, the teachers, is they confined in his home, maybe can take online, but he can travel, so maybe can come. So, and we discover another artist of my country. So that's because we need to have artists of more close to the SMUC, to the university. So during the last, I remember in March, so I teach in my university in one Wednesday, and I came back last week. So it's like 6 months to don't see my students and don't play with the musicians. I remember all my classes, so that's listen with the microphone of the computer. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to play with them, and absolutely now with the mask, so that's it's difficult to. But the people in my country, they play every day at 8 in the afternoon for say thank you all the doctors and nurses they work in the hospital, and for myself I play every day at 8 in the balcony of my building, and I find a new neighbors to listen to me. But you know, the music doesn't stop. So, I mean, I cannot go outside to play, but I can play in the balcony and the balcony of my building, and all the people, they can listen. So that's the music don't stop in all time. So I understand it's difficult because the concerts, especially with the orchestras, so I play with a big band, and sometimes it's difficult to play, not gigs, no master class. So, but we need to reinvent it. So at the moment, the situation is like, we need to do something different and we need to invent it. So it's not working like in the past. So now in the Barcelona Fiddle Congress, we make it to next January. At the moment it's hybrid. So some part online and other physical. Now this is the situation we have. So that's, so the most important, the message is music not stop, you know.
That's thank you so much. That's what I said, that without music we wouldn't survive this tough period, which is an irony because musicians are really suffering the most. But I will be also touching the point that you just mentioned about students and teaching at the university in a further part of our discussion. Helen, would you share your tough experiences? We can imagine. You have to also unmute your microphone because we don't hear you.
Sorry, just forgot. Yeah, I mean, when everything started, we had a very radical measures. We just shut down everything very quickly. And that was a big stress because in one day, everything just stops. Especially that music sphere was under a big hit, and there was, we were waiting when there will be a summer to start and organize some at least open air concerts. And as many musicians are not registered and so on, so they even could not have any governmental help, subsidies to have anything. So no clubs, no daily work, and only those musicians who are working at orchestras like state organizations and state institutions, they were, let's say, financially kind of secured. So when the summer started, we had some new regulations that we could have some events, but the regulations were not so well organized and checked. So people started to organize concerts, but then they were fined. So there was no point for organizing because they were losing much more than they could gain. So that was a really strange situation. But in the middle of the summer and end of the summer, and even right now, the City Hall, Tbilisi City Hall, is trying to help by organizing some additional concerts, even without a special occasion, just to support musicians, to make them generate any income, because we don't know what is going to happen, for example, in the winter. But as we have right now, we have much more cases than during the total shutdown, and we still don't close anything. I think we are going to a Swedish model or whatever, I don't know how to call it. So we are not closing anything. We are still going out. We have some bands playing only open air, and I think that's it. Somehow we are surviving. And of course, as I already heard from other participants of the panel, we have musicians that are recording music, and we have some new releases, and we have many online concerts which are not that much popular still, because everyone needs not just watching, but they need to share emotions. The concerts were about sharing, not just listening. It's completely different thing what we are lacking now. And this really life becomes pretty boring, because every day we wake up and it's like a Groundhog Day, in the movie. Every day is the same. You can go out of the country, you are isolated, and not many events. So everyone is eager to find something and go directly to any concert that is happening in Georgia.
Helen, I don't know if it's going to console you, but at least you have a nice weather.
Yes, we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Ratko, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My situation is a little bit maybe different from other people, because I can talk maybe between two countries. Because I'm living in Netherlands for 30 years, but I'm very often in Croatia. I'm also very active there, not all the time, but at least 2 times I will make during the year tour. And how I mentioned, I have also festivals there. And in Netherlands, where I'm living, situation is almost like everywhere. Lockdown, first 4 or 5 months was nothing happened. In summer was little bit possibility with playing, because was open air, some concerts. So was possibility, of course, very restrict with audience. So you can imagine if you play in places where it's possible to have a couple of 100 people, you need to play for just small audience. And that was exactly happened also in Croatia. I was lucky playing tour I think 15 concerts I played there. And we was lucky because Croatia is a tourist country. I have a lot of places to play in summer. And of course, many people was just close venues. And but still, I will say maybe 70-80% places was open. Also problem because I think was the maximum for the promoter possibility to have audience till 90 people. And same situation, I play in a couple of festivals where it was place for 400 or 500 people, and you play really for not so many people, but still you're happy. Then you're able to play. In Netherlands, for example, situation if musician don't have enough income to be able to survive, then government will help. So it's in Netherlands, it's very good to organize with this. In my situation, it's I was personally lose more than 50 concerts. I had this year, I released in May and June 2 albums, and I'm just finished my new live album, what I mixed last week. So I will have in Corona time 3 new albums out. But I was talking with a record company. We really want to go further because we don't want to stop with this, and we want at least be creative and record and try promote, and till now it's going really well. And so this is the situation in Holland. What is really good for musicians is still you can get help. Of course, in my case, I'm teaching, so I have every month salary, so I'm not able, of course, to get any help for the concert that I lose, what was cancelled. But at least for a lot of my colleagues who don't have this, especially right now, this privilege, like musicians like me who even have teaching job, we can easily survive, but for many of them, it's very heavy. But still, in Holland, how I say, it's very good organized. In Croatia, is also some help, but of course not on the same level like in Netherlands. They help a little bit musicians, but how I talk with many of them, they are not so satisfied like here. But it's still, it's happened. They help musicians. So
thank you so much, and I think that the situation is similar in our countries, except Helena has nice weather, and I guess Oriol as well. Oriol, I would like to get to the topic of networking right now and building relationships with partners in a situation where, on one hand, as you just all said, everyone tries to simply survive. And on the other hand, this situation forces an extraordinary creativity and innovation, which promotes cooperation and networking. So we can observe the burst of artists' creative energy, a desire to connect with humankind online, and the survival mode. So what is your approach to building relationships, international relationships, in the time when burst of creativity meets job losses? Is building relationships possible and even needed right now? Anyone? Helen.
I like that we start always from me.
No, last question, we didn't start from you, only the introduction.
Oh, yeah, true. Generally for Georgia, it was a bit difficult because we have so many importing events and less exporting and so on and so on. And we find out that actually we are stuck and we should do something only with the national sources. I can't say that I see a lot of creativity right now, but I mean, let's say there was a time for a huge depression first, and only now after summer, and as now we are not shutting down everything around, people started to think in a more creative way. We find out how we can organize like small concerts, hybrid concerts, like have somebody in the audience, but also do a live concerts and translating, make translation, not translation, what's the word for it? Broadcast. And this also helps to reach some new audiences, actually, because sometimes when we were organizing something locally, it was only for local audiences, but now we are sharing those events and like people from other countries also can see it. I mean, this is like, is it, I hear some noise and I don't know if it's like comes from me or not.
We're good, I guess. So maybe our technical crew can help you solve the problem.
Yeah, so I mean, this is my experience yet for Georgia, and I mean, at this moment, I can see any like super new techniques or business models and so on. I think we are just in the process of thinking what we can do, because we know that we can't come back to the same level and the same infrastructure. Something will be completely different, and we should prepare for this right now. So it's a shifting moment, and I can say that we are technologically very
advanced.
Yeah, advanced or something. So I mean, this also will be very difficult for us. And another case is, you know, Georgia is, I can say like isolated, but geographically we are quite far from the West, and sometimes the sharing of experiences, sharing of technology, it comes like a bit later and later. So we are also like looking what our European friends and colleagues are doing, maybe to bring those examples to Georgia, you know.
But I wouldn't like to end with the conclusion that networking possibilities are frozen.
No. I don't mean that networking is frozen. I mean, just yesterday I had a lecture to my students about, I just mentioned that networking is important, but okay, it's the old model of networking is not working now, but you can see it at your place. You should use at least these online technologies, participate in online conferences. There are so many concerts, there are so many discussions, and I mean, prepare yourself in a few years to another model, to another business strategy. So now you should be still be up to date what's going on in the worldwide, to know how to act and what to do. This is it. I mean, it's still possible, maybe just different models for.
Yes, I hear you. I'm provoking you on purpose because I really believe in power of networking. Oriol, I see you're smiling.
No, now with the partners to work with the festivals and the concert, it's difficult because a lot of partners disappear, or they need another partners. They want to invent it to create how can help to the artists and other festivals. So now the situation is like we start to thinking about what can we do different for work. And another word for me is online. I mean, everything we can do now in online, especially with the classes and the concerts in live. Now we some students, we can meet and we can play with another people. The problem we have now is like the theaters, they can open only for the 50% for the public. So now you need to sell more and big theaters for have more public. Now the weather it's good, so we can play outside, and maybe we can have more the space, 2 meters between. It's people. Last Sunday I played with the school outside in a park. So when we have like 100 person of the public, and we did, you know. And sometimes it's strange to see all the public with the mask. You can see only the eyes. You don't know if they like or not the concert. And especially as you play, you have the mask too, so that you use a lot of air. So sometimes it's difficult to play. But we did, you know, it's like, okay, we can do only concert with 100 persons, but we have a concert, you know. Maybe in the future we can do with 200s. But I mean, the most important thing is to do something. and creative and innovational time.
Ratko?
Oh, yeah, this is a very difficult question. It's very personal. I mean, each musician have different network. Generally, what I think, if this COVID stay this year, then somehow will be, of course, much easier to survive next year. But the question is, nobody know how long will stay. And if stay 1 year, extra 2021, then will be really disaster. And that's a really difficult thing. And just last summer when I was touring, I talked with people, it's complete industry, people who hire sound system, light, everybody told me, if this is stay 1 year, we need to sell complete equipment and try to doing some other jobs, even a lot of musicians. So the thing is, like for 2021, if we need to have really a lot of preparation, one of the things what can help, then of course we want to keep music live and playing, but if you have places where you can have 90 people, how you can survive to pay all the? I mean, if you need to have rent band and pay all these expenses to organize concert, I think one of the solution will be like then band play much shorter, like maybe 40 minutes, and then can have 3 shows in one night, and then people can still have chance to watch live music at least 40 minutes, because in Europe is somehow standard, then you go to the concert and band play 90 minutes. I done for last 30 years all the time playing like this. You play or in festival, maybe a little bit less, 60, 75 minutes, or if you have on concert, you play usually 90 minutes at least. And what I think that can help if that can help a little bit. And about for the young musician, of course, this is very difficult if you don't have network, and especially now when like in my example, I lose 50 concerts was canceled. When I'm talking with all promoter, almost 90% told me we even don't know if we'll be able to play to have program next year. That's the incredible disaster if this will happen. So at least now you have every year more and more musicians, and like if I'm looking like 20 years ago when you play was everybody now was much easy because was many places to play and was less musicians. Now it's like we have less places to play and more musicians. It's really tough. It's a very, I always talk with my students. I mean, when you are in school, you learn playing, you're somehow protected, but when you're going out of the school, you're really in jungle. You need to really survive. You need to have really special, social intelligence. It's not enough to be just good player to survive. You need to have really social intelligence to know to have plan, to know to communicate with people, and of course, the most important, you need to have great music if you want to survive. I believe that must be first, to be creative, to have original, good music. If you have this, then you can really put everything, on the take. But without this, nothing will help. I mean, you can maybe have success for the short term, but it's very personal. I think it's important for the young musicians to have more contact to people who have more experience and to share this problem. At least I'm doing with my students about this problem.
But thank you so much. And before I ask Cyril to answer the question, I would like to come back to Oriol for 1 second, because my next question was to you gentlemen who teach students, who are educators. And Ratko just said what he is telling his students. And if I understand correctly, it's prepare yourself, have plan B, have great music. Oriol, I would like to ask you, because I remember that when I was at the beginning of my work journey, somebody gave me the advice, never eat alone. I remembered it. So when you're at the networking event or at the industry party, just never eat by yourself, because this defeats the purpose of being there in first place. So sit next to someone or with people you don't know, introduce yourself. You never know where it will lead. Right now, we cannot give such advices to your professionals. So I remember that I would like to hear the answer from Cyril, but since we are at the subject of students, could you, Oriol, tell me what you are telling your students regarding building their network in this crazy time?
Well, at the moment, we start all the classes and we can stay physical. And I think it's important, but it's like we have every teacher with one class. I mean, if one student have a COVID, later all the students of this class, they need to come back at home. Mm-hmm. So now the first thing we work with the classroom or with online, all the classes with, this is much work because you need to put everything online if you need to go at home. But for me, it's like take your time for study more transcriptions, listen more music, try to think about your next project of your CD. And maybe I hope in a few months when we go outside, you have your CD. No, this is the moment to have reflections with yourself. So, and I'm doing this for myself too. So that's I'm gonna start to play another instruments. I'm gonna start to open another books they never seen, and I listen another musics because never I have time. So now I have more time when I stay at home. So I think it's the new opportunity to have a reflections with yourself and what you want to do in the future. So that's I think it's a positive too. So to have time to reflection with yourself, stop the time and say, okay, so I won't record this, I want to play this, and I want to play with these musicians. Now, I remember when we have when we stayed at home last month, all musicians around the world stay at home. So they take the phone. So I remember now you are at home, so you need to pick up my phone. So that's, and you can talk with these people. This is my message now. I'm trying to do positive message all the time. I understand we are the situation now, but I prefer to thinking, so maybe in the future we are more positive. So, thank you.
I appreciate this positive thinking. And Cyril, please, one more second, because we have an opinion from Facebook to Mary James, journalist and artist managers, wrote, "Good point, Ratko. The community will be smaller from now on, so hanging on to relationships is important because there will be fewer opportunities in the future." Of course, I'm saying this from a UK perspective, and we have Brexit. So UK perspective is even more complicated than ours. But now, Cyril, it's your time to answer how to deal with networking, burst of creativity. Do we even need networking now? Is there a place for it?
Well, I feel like I have the privilege of wrapping this question up. So, yeah, there's only this many means of networking, actually. The first is your school. When you go to school, you network with your peers, with your teachers, and your co-students. And this is for many, it's the base of their networking from now on into the future. Then you start to play gigs. You come out to jazz clubs if there's any jazz clubs who are still working, and you play jam sessions, and then you start playing gigs. And maybe you have something to say, except playing standards, which pretty much everybody has to at a certain stage of their development as an artist. But then maybe you have some of your own music, or you play somebody else's music in their project. And you see other musicians and you communicate, and this is your new mean of networking. Then you hopefully you start performing at festivals, and then you see musicians from all over the world, because most of festivals are international by nature. So this is your bigger mean of networking. And then all these new trendy online 21st century instruments, such as industrial forums, such as Jazz Ahead, such as APAP in New York City, if your folks have money or you have a lavish gig and you can pay for that. But it all worked until a certain moment. Right now, the Russian jazz industry, well, however big it is, prepares for its fourth industrial forum, which is traditionally in mid-November. Yes, it will happen this year, although the restrictions are going more and more tight again, because kids return to schools, people return to work, and they forgot about wearing masks, and they started shake hands again, and there's a very steep rise of infections right now. But still, it's not as bad as it was, so nothing is shutting down completely as it was half a year ago. So we're still preparing for our fourth industrial forum, the Jazz Across Borders Forum in St. Petersburg, November 13 and 14. So we are, this year, we are only relying on a local talent, because the first three forums were about bringing international specialists, international artists to Russia, introduce them to Russian market as a destination to travel, and also as a source of talent, because there is talent. There's like 3,000 professional musicians in the country which call themselves jazz musicians, and some of them are definitely talented. So this year we are restricted to 10 international guests from the countries which are open yet for Russia. Of all the mighty European continent, it's only Switzerland. So there's going to be somebody from Switzerland for sure. The rest are still have no flights to Russia or from Russia. We have an anecdotal situation where an American company, which also works with Polish jazz market, the Real Jazz Ambassadors, they work with Russian jazz market as well. And they rented a booth at the Jazz Across Borders Forum, and they still have no idea who is going to man the booth, because the American representatives cannot fly to Russia. They are not allowed from the country, and they are not allowed in Russia. So they have to hire somebody locally in Russia to man their booth to represent their supposedly international cultural contacts business or whatever that is. So it's time for relying on local talent. It's time to look back and find out who are you really. As for the Russian jazz scene, yesterday was the birthday of Russian jazz, the 98th birthday, because we know exactly when the first jazz concert happened in Russia, October 1, 1922. So for all these 98 years, there was a main question: can we play just like Americans? Now we know that yes, we can. The next question is why? Do we have to? Do we have something to say as a national scene? Do we have something to say as individuals, not just fans of Stan Getz or John Coltrane or Charlie Parker or Jan Garbarek for that matter? But can we say something as Ivan Ivanov or Sergei Kashirin or whatever that is? Do we have something to say? Do we have something to share with the world? If we're speaking about the international networking, okay, what's the ultimate goal of international networking? More jobs. Well, you can be a plumber and still have a job, and it's a good job. It's nothing wrong with be a plumber. So yeah, it's just why you're doing that. What you're trying to tell the world, just look back and find it while you have time. This year, this rat chase, this is stopped. We don't have to run as fast as we had to before in the free market, or supposedly free market. But okay, when we have these few months, reconsidering ourselves, retouching our base. What are we doing? Why are we doing that? Why are we playing this terribly difficult music? Why are we torturing our children when we send them to jazz schools?
Okay, but if I can interrupt you, because you actually provoked me right now to ask yet another question, because you said, what does international networking mean? More jobs? That's provocative, because I think that it also means creative outcomes of your work. It means more creative possibilities. And that's why I would like to change the question and ask the rest of the panelists, because when you close about local, about giving a chance to national music, I have a feeling that closed borders also might mean closed minds. Like we have less opportunity to travel and to perform in other countries. Maybe it will also lead to new nationalisms in music and to some isolation. And we don't really need any other nationalisms in the world. So this might be the provoking question, but this nationalism in music might have two sides of international collaborations. Ratko, what do you think?
Yeah. Again, I can talk for my personal experience. I'm completely always music with open border. Like in my case, I have two regular groups what I'm playing actively last 10 years. Nobody is even from same country. Like one group what I have with incredible accordion player from Italy, Simone Zanchini, drummer come from New York, I'm from Rotterdam, bass player from Cologne, Germany, and we play always. I mean, I understand then every community, like if I'm looking, they called Dutch jazz, they called Croatian jazz, Russian jazz. I mean, it's great, of course, that people want identity, but it depends which kind of person you are. In my case, I always like musicians who are really completely cosmopolitan. I really don't care about this. I really don't care if somebody is Croatian or if somebody is Russian or somebody is American. What I care if this is person, and I always tell students, you need to fit with people. It's same like in personal life. You don't share your personal life with everybody. For me, music it's very, very intimate. It's something what you need to communicate, and you cannot play. I remember when I was a student a long time ago, Michael Breaker came to our school to give workshop, and he say, I can only play with 3 drummers. And if these 3 guys are not able to play, stay at home, watch with my wife television. I was like, wow. And later I really get it point. I mean, of course you can play with so many people, and it's great to play with many people when you, to be able to get experience. But on the end, you need to be very selective. For me, like musician, to be really, you need to feel with which kind of players you can fit together and make music. And again, I'm absolutely, for me, it doesn't matter. If I feel then it's bass player from Spain, great, I will immediately like to play with guy. If you want to play, of course, with me. So this is in my point, this is how I'm looking. And but I know a lot of musicians really want to keep, and of course, it's good then every community have own actually players around, and every town have this. I mean, if you come to Amsterdam, the Amsterdam have own community, Barcelona have own community. I mean, but if you want to play more, you need to be really more open-minded. Wow, somebody have dog.
Yeah, and it's me, and shh. For that live streaming, I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
Helen, would you like to add something? And before I ask you, Mary James on Facebook again wrote to us, perhaps the local focus on perhaps the local focus of all the projects we are hearing about, like Jazz Junior itself for Polish artists, is actually a strength. It gives us a chance to really appreciate our own community. And I also believe that that's what Cyril said about not only that international networking is more jobs, but also that it gives us this local, possibility to strengthen the community. And Helen, you said that Georgia is somehow isolated. How is the strengthening the community versus international networking working now for you?
So the question was about nationalization and isolation. So in first case, this will not happen because, I mean, I can see this will never happen. I mean, definitely not. So what isolation will do bad or good? Of course, we will focus now more on national acts, on local musicians. We will try to develop it more and like to support them more and so on and so on. But there's a problem with development and sharing experience, because when we were isolated, we could not see what is going on. We could not be up to date. I mean, the growth is not going as fast, and when you are just open for everything. So the openness and like open borders is helping to develop and grow. So also like with my festival, the most important main reason of the festival was to establish a platform for international exchange to help musicians in Caucasus to develop faster, to have more interesting projects, and not to be boiled only in the South Caucasus, you know. So, I mean, now we have also geographical, this is geography, and with this all closed borders, I mean, someone told, I think, Ratko, for example, if this year it will end, so we can came back to the old life and so on, and we will survive. I mean, we will go through this, but there's another problem with all these closed borders. Okay, we will be done with COVID, but the infrastructure will never be the same. If we do networking now with some clubs, those clubs might never exist in the future, and everything will be shifted in the shifting process. So the logistics will change, because the flights are going to be much more expensive, and we have only like flight possibilities. There is no trains to Europe or to other countries, and even the South Caucasus is pretty complicated. We have ongoing conflicts now. We are like neighbors are in a war, so it's even like a cooperation with the neighbors will be very problematic. So I mean, you see, I mean, the region is pretty complicated, and I'm not talking about a cooperation with the countries that are like much far from us. So this is the thing that I'm afraid of, this isolation. I'm afraid that we might lose the speed of development. I mean, this is my actually concern about the situation.
I see that, Oriol, would you like to add something? I see you now to what Helen said. I had a feeling that you were about to say something, but if...
No, I agree with Helen, but
okay.
in my case, I'm doing a lot of masterclass with jazz violin around the Europe, but this year I'm finding another views. So that's I'm travel a lot in Spain. So, and I open another views, another conservatoires, and I'm teaching another conservatoires, and for me it's new too. So that's I had the opportunity to play more in my country and teach more in my country, because normally I don't teach a lot because I need to travel. So that's this is my positive view during these few months. But I absolutely agree with Helen. So we need to open, we need to work with other people in other countries, of course. But now in this case, if I need to see the next 4 or 5 months or like 3 months, so I'm trying to work here, and I can travel with my car. So because if I need to take right now, I have a lot of inconvenience.
For me, the thing that Helen said about the shifting process that we are facing, that we will be facing, is leading me to maybe our last question. If we met a year ago, networking, we would be talking, would be all about events, after parties, card exchange, study visits, international relations. But right now, this shifting process is not only the logistics, but it's also the technology that Helen mentioned at the very beginning. Video streaming, video editing, and innovations that follow. An innovation of online proposals. They created a massive shift in audience expectations and tastes. I think so. You might not agree with me. So technology started to be important as a mean of communication now in music world, much more than maybe a year ago. At the same time, I just read that psychologists point out that video call and video interaction, through this interaction, we can only receive 15% of the message that would be otherwise available to us in a face-to-face interaction. We don't have this feeling. We don't connect. We cannot touch the music. So my question is, knowing that everything will change and everything will have to change, will and should festivals and venues ever be the same again? Do we want to be back at where we were before the pandemic to preserve, to save this, this offline world? Where will it all lead us? Ratko?
That's a great question. Okay, first, answer this question will be if COVID will be, how I said in the beginning, this year, then yes, I will believe then will come very fast where it was before. Not maybe exactly in the beginning, will be of course problem, but I think we'll be back to just had opportunity to have again many places where it was possible to play. And another side, the question two is if COVID will be 2021, what is a lot of people think that can be, then definitely will be really, really big problem. And of course, people always, even during the Second World War, what was much tougher, this COVID, people will always find solution, and always will be people who are creative with creative ideas, and they're also, they will find way to present on art to the audience, and they will find audience, of course. So that's very difficult to answer, what will be exactly. Nobody knows, of course. I think then it's very important if COVID will be, of course, a long period. Then musicians need to be able to find places where you can play. Even if don't exist, community of musicians needs to be very strong and find places to play. Even because now we are all know how work thing, promoters, places where you play, you have new album, or you have, and then you have list of the places where you want to play and where you can play. And that was what was always in one way, almost like cliche. You make a record, you need to play, but if this will happen, we need to be really very creative and find even places. I'm pretty sure that musicians will find even own places to find audience, and that's the only solution. And also live streaming, that's certain short solution. Personally for me, I can imagine if band play live, really in same room, and then can be live streaming. That's okay. But for me, I have last few months, we get the opportunity to play. Each of us from different country really reject. I don't want to play like this. I'm really against this. Then musician will accept to playing through the camera. I really don't want this. For me, music is life. If musicians are not in same room, that's for me not music. I'm absolutely against this. It must be human touch, human energy. I cannot feel if bass player is in Germany, I'm playing here in Holland. We can play right notes, but it's not about right notes, that's the thing.
it is. It's also not easy for the audience.
And must be always humanity. We are humans. I mean, that's why we play music, to be together. And it is like how you feel music live. You know, I have problem with a lot of students. I mean, I'm old-fashioned. I even buy LPs. I'm crazy about it. My first things that I'm listening at home. This is personally a lot of guys from my generation. I'm listening LPs. CD I will listen only in car. But all my students even don't have CD player. I mean, it's disaster. And I always ask, if you don't listen music on good speakers, I mean, you listen music on iPhone, how you will, I mean, this is 10% of information. You make a record, you have expensive post-production, and then people listen music on this. It's horrible. I mean, you don't listen. And I know, I mean, you spend so much money, every musician now, to produce album, and then people listen on this. It's disaster for me. So this is the problem also for then even musician. Now I see new generation, they even don't have good speakers at home. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have audio idea how music need to sound, how you will play. That's also a big problem. But I mean, this is other topic.
Thank you. We have one comment from Daga Gregorowicz, who is a fantastic artist from Poland. I have a pleasure of knowing her. So hello, Daga. She wrote, I'm meeting many musicians, especially during WMEX, World Music Expo, for those who don't know. I always try to catch some new contacts. With many people we talk that it would be nice to cooperate, but there was never that kind of huge miss of international connections, which finally guided us to record together with musicians from Finland, Poland, Ukraine, Sweden, and she tells about many more musicians. That strange time gave us incredible luck that gave opportunity. It shows the directions for the future. The bond that is built during this hard time is stronger. And Mary James gave us yet another comment. She wrote, the need to reduce flying will affect international links. If you can get somewhere by train, that's great. But what if you have to fly? Climate change is a bigger challenge than COVID. But let's not touch that subject. We probably have all many to say about that. And we know that our time is limited. But Helen, I asked the question about what's the future of festivals and will you be back at where we were, or we have to somehow, you were talking about shifting process technologies, also the technologies that Georgia might be a bit behind to more advanced colleagues. How do you see your festival in the upcoming years? If COVID stops, let's take the optimistic approach, okay, that it will stop next year.
Okay, in this case, I mean, I just want to say something very generally, why we create art. It's not just business. We don't produce, we don't sell. I mean, it's, not in just the business way. Art is something that affects our feeling, our emotions, and generally, like human being, it so connects to art and the personality you can become and so on. So it's just, I don't know how to explain it. So when we are saying about like, we can't close the festivals, I'm sure there will be some projects and festivals as clubs as well that will be over, let's say, but they can retransform. It can, something new can born. I don't know. Honestly, I'm in the process of just thinking and revising what we have done for 10 years already and where I want to see us in the future in next 10 years. So this is a moment of shifting, like even without COVID, and especially, as I said, it's complicated because of the region, and I hope there will be a peace so we can continue, because it's not a just Georgian festival. It's a festival of the South Caucasus, where it's very important, the presence of all three countries. And if there will be no peace, I'm not in the mood of organizing that type of festival. So this is very important for me. So let's talk only about positive. So when I was saying that art is impressions, is sharing emotions, and technology, if we are talking about technology, then technology should really feel the lack of it, how technology can feel the lack of sharing emotions. We say that we don't like to play with somebody online because I don't feel somebody on the stage. It's the same exactly for the audience. If I see and I like this concert and so on, but there should be someone else sitting with me to share it, I mean, to feel it. Otherwise, I can see, I mean, for what is the art? So I really don't know. Yes, definitely about the festivals, we should keep them. It's very important, but it will be a bit different, I think. But we don't know it yet. I think the time will show. So it's really difficult to make any predictions. There will be something hybrid, definitely. For a longer time, there will be problems of logistics. So it's not changing in 1 year. I think it's like at least 5 years process that we will see where we gonna be like in the future. Future did not come yet. We just don't know how to shift, what to do. We are just checking, trying, testing all possibilities, all opportunities, but not thinking about shutting down anything in our business, in our industry, and so on and so on.
So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that technology, we would like to keep technology as one of the possible future tools, not as the final greatest solution to all our problems.
No, I don't think that we want to switch definitely for 100% to technology. I don't think so. If someone thinks so, please let me know.
Oriol, what do you think?
Well, I totally agree with Helen. So that's the music, and with Ratko. So we need to play, we need to touch, we need to feel the music. But at the moment, if we don't have technology, we don't have anything. So this is another problem. I remember my first class. After 5 months, I say, "Wow, I can listen another instrument. It's not my instrument, you know." And all time with the microphone, you know, and with the video. With the video conference, it's not working. But I have this, or I don't have nothing. So I hope in the future we use the technology, but only for help and other things, not only the only way to go. At the moment, for the meetings of the university, for me is perfect. So I don't need to travel. So the people, they understand. So we can do a meeting with the Zoom, and suddenly all teachers, you know, all teachers of the department, we are in the meeting, you know. In the past, you know, I forget the train, I cannot go, you know. So the technology now we can use only for help a little bit our life. But the music, definitely, we need to listen and in live and play and connect, because it's expression of the community we need to do.
And we have a comment to what you just said. One of our followers on Facebook, Nikusha Janelidze, and I'm very sorry if Janelidze, thank you, wrote, "The playing without audience is the same like playing without instrument." So I think that it's a very good metaphor. Cyril, you again have a pleasure of closing
wrapping the things up.
wrapping the things up, because that's our last comment. And at the very end, I would like to ask you for just one advice for young musicians in the pandemic times. So
is that
Cyril,
easy? Yes, it's that easy. We do this. New technology platforms, we can use them, but
is it only me, or Cyril is a bit frozen right now? He is.
He's
right?
Frozen, yeah.
Okay, so
they're supplements. Excuse me.
The connection was bad for a second.
Okay, so in May there was a blues festival in northern part of Russia, which was turned offline, from offline to online. It was online for 3 nights in a row. There was 3 bands every night, each filmed in their hometown, in Kazan, in Yekaterinburg, in Moscow, in Arkhangelsk in the north, 1,200 kilometers from Moscow. And I was sort of emceeing between the bands. I was announcing them. It had the feeling of a festival, but it was not a festival. It was great. It was great to feel, to reconnect, to feel that we are still in it, but it couldn't replace it. But on the brighter side, I can conclude with a quotation from one of the movies. One of the movies that I seriously think is one of the greatest movies of the last 100 years, but just don't laugh, is Jurassic Park. And there's one great quotation that sums it up. Life will find a way.
I hope we are in this way as human beings playing music, if I can conclude like that. One final advice. I know you can give 3 final advice, just 1 minute, please. To young musicians who are full of hopes in the beginning of their way, facing the pandemic, and are thinking whether they should look for plan B right now, change their job, stay. What to do, masters? Oriol.
Well, stay.
Okay, sir. Cyril, go ahead.
Yeah, stay. There's
Stay and wait.
there is an abundance of online courses right now. Sometimes taught one-to-one by great musicians. Sometimes for a group of online students. Grab this opportunity while you can. It will not be this easily available a year from now if the restrictions lift anytime soon. So grab this opportunity. This is important.
Thank you. Oriol?
We need to continue to play. I mean, so I don't like to play with the mask, but if I don't play to the mask, I don't have a gig. So, but this is another way, no? It's pass to pass. So, I mean, when I see all the public with the mask, I don't know if they like my music. No, it's like I remember this album. I played for 500 persons, and all the mask. It's difficult to connect. Maybe I need to play much better, and the people clapping all the time, and later I can see they like my concerts. It's like I mean, we need to continue to do some things and reinvent new things all the time. So because if we don't know with the new things, maybe we can go down. Is my opinion.
Okay, Helen.
I will be a bit more pragmatic as a ex-musician, but now I'm more in management. I always suggest to my students to always have plan B, plan C. I mean, I never say, okay, don't play as there are no gigs, just forget it. No, you should continue because you have a dream, right? This is your mission. You are a musician, you are still working on it, you are doing your job. But if you are not satisfied with that, you might have financial problems and so on. Just think what else you can do and be prepared for it, to have something that can help you to generate income, to be a teacher, to do something else, because musicians are very creative in different ways. So I mean, don't stuck only in composing, for example. I mean, there are so many solutions. I just don't want to say mistake in anything, but this is my advice to them. Have different plans, but don't forget your main mission. This is what I do as well. I mean, when I stopped to organize festivals, I started to find other ways and other solutions to still stay on the surface, let's say.
So prepare yourself, have plan B, be ready when the opportunities are back, but also have a plan B to survive.
I mean, that's what we need, because, for example, 30% of musicians are quitting their jobs. I mean, this is a reality. And I mean, this is okay. Some can, some don't want. So I'm just encouraging them to not forget their dreams. They should know if it's their dream, they should be musicians, they should continue. And if they're facing problems, just, every crisis can be transformed in opportunity.
I love the positive attitudes of all our guests, and I hope Ratko will keep this positive attitude till the very end.
Yeah, I would like to just answer also this very shortly. I think it's just two possibilities. First will be like for young musician, you really need to compose and work on to be able to have enough material for the coming period. So you need to be ready. If it's opportunity coming in 3 days or in 3 years or in 3 months, you need to have already prepared music. So this is extremely important for me. If you really want to be a serious musician, you need to work every day on music, like how one of my favorite all-time composer, Igor Stravinsky, say, amateur people wait for inspiration, real musicians don't have inspiration, they work every day. And this is extremely important, to write every day, to write at least 1 or 2 bars. It's not about you have good or bad day, you need to work. It's really, you need, if you love music, this is not painful. This is what you choose for this. Of course, we are human, sometimes you have day what is coming easy and some are more tough. And the second business plan, you need to find a way how you can survive. And if it's about playing, if you are not able, you need to try, again, contact people, try it with friends. Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Try to come. If this is not work, then you really need to create on, how I said in the beginning, on place, go to local community, find the people where you can play, maybe in some cafe, or you invite friends just to start. I mean, we all start like this. You don't start first to playing festival. I have problem, like, for example, I get like, for my festival now, more than 500 emails, everybody want to play. And then I have students who just finished conservatory and they ask unbelievable fee. It's not working like this. I mean, you need to be happy if they even give you chance for, I mean, it's not then you play for free, but you need to be realistical, you know, you need to ask also, how can I write email? How can I approach promoter? Not start, okay, I have band, great band, we just finished conservatory. You don't have even one album, nobody know, and then ask me 4,000 euro for fee. Come on. I mean, you know, Cyril, what I'm talking about. You know, it's like, and so this is also what you need to learn, how you can write email and how you can approach promoter and this kind of stuff. This is important. If you don't know, you need to, you know, again, use social intelligence, ask other musicians and to learn. That's how we all learn this, you know. And don't start with money, you know, on the email. I find really irritating when I get emails with my festivals, and I will never, I play for so many years, 1,000 concerts, 1,000. I never wrote, I want this and this money. You just present your music, and then if you come to the point, then you can negotiate, but don't start with money. And it's a lot of mistakes. What, you know, I understand when you are young, you need to learn this, you know, but you really need to, then if you are not able to find somebody who can coach you, and that's, I mean, we are actually all not teachers. I always find myself coach. It's difficult to teach somebody music. It's very personal. You can be coach. I don't like to be professor. It's like you're a coach. Music, it's really you need to coach somebody because, you know, it's so personal. So you find own way.
I think we have to ask the organizers of the festival to give us time to part B of our discussion, part number 2, because I have about 15 more questions rising right now, and we have to close and wrap up the discussion. Thank you, everybody, so much for sharing your experience, for giving very practical, but also inspirational and advice and keeping up the spirit, being optimistic about the future. We have no other choice than be optimistic, because music will save us all, I think. And even though, how was it, Cyril? The life will find its way. Was it life?
Exactly.
Yes, the life will find its way, but I don't want to see this life without music. So music better be in it. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon, and I hope to meet you in person one day. That would be my great pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Very much. A
Ciao
pleasure.
to everybody.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.